Let's talk about how you're going to ensure profitability. This does not happen without setting the intention to be profitable. And you might be watching this going like, well, duh, I want to make a profitable business. But the act of saying that and then the act of doing what needs to be done to create a profitable business can sometimes be very different. And from my personal experience, as well as watching some of my clients and some of my community members, I know that this is something that I wanted to make a lesson video on. So let's dive in. Profitability is so important because essentially, if you don't have enough money in the bank at the end of the day, you cannot pay yourself, you cannot pay other people, and you just won't have a self-sustaining business. You need to have a business that can stand on its own. It needs to make enough money. It needs to not have too many expenses so that you have enough at the end of the day. Let's take a second now to define profit. Essentially, it's literally just revenue, so how much money you make, minus expenses or how much you're spending, and whatever is left over is your profit. You want to try to maximize that as much as possible. So to increase your profit, you can either make more money, increase your revenue, or you can cut back on your spending or decrease your expenses. Ideally, you want to do both, but obviously, what is technically easier is to cut back on your spending if you need to be more profitable. And so, obviously, we want to try to make more. We want to make more sales. We want to have better margins. But you also want to be really strategic about your spending. And so don't just spend money for the sake of it. Really be intentional about every single dollar you spend with your business. How is this going to get back to your business? How are you going to make a return on it? To help you, I have put together this spreadsheet that you can make a template of. It's in the Notion workbook down below. And we're going to forecast out what you should be making, how much you might be spending so that you can keep track. With all that being said, you need to know your numbers. And I think a lot of people sometimes, if they don't have a finance background or whatever, they can be like, oh, I don't really want to touch the numbers, or my accountant will just do that. And that's such a rookie mistake. You need to know your numbers inside and out. I don't want you to be in a position where you're avoiding looking at it. And so there's two things I want you to do. First of all, I want you to sign up for QuickBooks. There's a link down below. With my link, you'll get a discount. But essentially, QuickBooks is the bookkeeping software that most accountants use all over the world. And so come tax season, it'll be such a game changer for you because you can invite your accountant. They can see how much revenue you made, expenses you spent, and then they can just do your taxes. For you personally, every single month at the bare minimum, ideally every week, but every single month on the bare minimum, you can log in and look at the reports. You can look at your profit and loss. You can see how much you've made, how much you spent, how much you have. I use QuickBooks. A lot of my clients use QuickBooks. And so set yourself up with some sort of bookkeeping software so that you can start to keep track and you're not just sticking your head in the sand. The second thing I want you to do is start to keep a forecast and start to plan. I've made your life easy. I'm going to give you the spreadsheet template so you can download it down below or it's in your Notion workbook. But essentially, we're going to work through together how much revenue you're going to be making, how much you're spending, and how much you are projected to have. Now, with a forecast, it'll always be wrong because this is a best guesstimate and things happen, right? Like the market happens, whatever. But based on what we know now, this is what we think you're going to be spending. And so we're going to look at that now, and I will share my screen. When you make a copy of the financial spreadsheet down below, this is what it's going to look like. And this is actually the skeleton of the spreadsheet I use for my own business. So this is literally me giving you one of my templates. So I hope it works for you. The first thing you're going to do is on the top, just put in your business name in here. You can put in the year after this as well. So January to December, whatever the year is. I'll give you a quick high-level overview of the spreadsheet, and then I can walk you through a little bit of how you're going to fill this out. We have all the months across the top, and then we have the income section. So this is your revenue, all the areas that you're making money. And then we have your expenses, or all your different things that you're spending money on. From that, we have your profit. And across the top, I have a little section for you to add in any launches or things you may have. If in January you're launching a new product or in November you have a Black Friday deal, I have this space for you so that you can quickly high level put this in to remind yourself and also people on your team why there might be income fluctuations in certain months. Like some months you might be making more because you're doing a launch. Some months you might be making less because there isn't a launch going on. There's that space for you. For your business, you can change this to make it work for you. But if you have certain services, you can just name them and then put in how much you're estimating you're going to make. It will automatically spit out totals. If you need to add additional rows, you can totally do that above and below. I also have a section for programs. You can rename all of these to programs that you actually have, and then you can add more rows if you need to. If you have an online shop, you can make a section for that. And then I also have a media section. So for sponsorships, affiliates, if you do YouTube, if you have AdSense, you can put that in here as well. And then this is going to be a total of your income. So if you are adding new sections, you'll just want to make sure that the new cell is being added in here. Another thing that I have is that I like to see the percentage of revenue that comes from specific products. So I am not too over reliant on just one specific product for my revenue. This is all not going to be correct right now because we have zeros across the board, but let's pretend that this makes $100. So if this makes $100, then it represents 100% of our revenue because we don't have anything else that's making money right now. But let's just say this makes 1,000, and then you can see that this will change for you. So helpful, quick way for you to see what your revenue is made up of. I also have a section where it removes Stripe fees. So if you use Stripe or something else, then you can come in there and change that, but it just has a 2.9% buffer on your sales. And when it comes to your expenses, so I have contractors or employees up here, so you can put yourself, how much you're paying yourself, and then anyone else on your team. These are some line items that I personally spend money on, but of course, if you have others, you can put them in here. How much are you planning to spend on ads, on your accounting, on consulting, on conventions, on your own development, on subscriptions, equipment, fuel, like all this stuff. From there, you will have your profit. In Canada, the tax rate for incorporations is about 10 to 11%, but I like to put 11 just because I want to be a little bit more cautious. For you, if it's different, then just put in the tax rate so then you have your earnings before depreciation and amortization. But I do think it's important to take into account tax. So that's high level, the financial spreadsheet you can utilize. This is great too because this is set up exactly like the profit and loss in QuickBooks. That's why I've set it up this way so that every single month my accountant can go in, see what actually happened against my forecast, and then I can know if I'm behind or ahead of target. So make a copy down below and start to customize it and make it work for your business. Great job on getting into your numbers. You are not going to be profitable unless we set the intentions, so it is so important that we do that. Once you have signed up for QuickBooks or set up your bookkeeping software, as well as filled in your spreadsheet and completed the Notion workbook, I will see you in the next lesson.